Hello, before we start our main podcast, just a warning that unfortunately this episode contains an occasional word that some listeners may find offensive. Hello and welcome to ChewintheCud Season 2 Episode 11, Dairy and Technology. This was always intended to be one episode, but because there was so much great information recorded during our visit, we decided to split the recording into two parts, so welcome to Part 1. The conversation continues in Part 2, also available today. So hello and welcome to ChewintheCud Season 2 Episode 11. My name's Andrew Jones.
And I'm Neil Greggor.
How you going, Neil?
Yeah, very well, thanks. And you, Andrew?
Yeah, not too bad. This is our May podcast. I'm hoping we'll sound all right. We've got some new equipment, but unfortunately we're in a room that is completely surrounded by glass. Yep. We'll explain why in a minute. We have put what blinds down we can, but fingers crossed it will sound okay. But with us today is Mike Jones, Dairy Technical Manager from UK Agri-Tech Centre. Good afternoon, Mike.
Hello, how you doing then, guys?
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Thank you very much for having us.
Well, welcome to the Southwest Dairy Development Centre and coming and talking about the facilities we have here to test new emerging technology in a dairy setting for UK agriculture.
Well, we should say we've got a few little bits of innovative technology ourselves.
Yeah.
We've had the pleasure of Mike's company this morning, who's taken us a tour around the facilities. I've been lucky enough to be here a couple of times before, as I've run a couple of cow signals courses here, which was brilliant. But I know for Neil, it's the first time here.
Absolutely. But I tell you what, exceptionally worth it. I've really enjoyed today. It's been amazing. What we've seen is just incredible.
Thank you.
While we are recording in the boardroom, I suppose is the best way to describe it at the moment. So if I look over my shoulder, we have a completely view of all the cows, particularly of the dry cows, but all of the cows here, hence why we're surrounded by glass. But also as we went round, we did take a mobile mic with us for the first time and did some recording as we went. So fingers crossed that also went not too bad given the wind we've got today, and we'll interject and cut some of that in as we go. But otherwise, Mike, tell us who you are and how you got to where you are today.
Okay, so I've been working for UK Agri-Tech Centre for just under 2 years now.
Yep.
Before that, I was working for Cogent Breeding on animal health monitoring, remote monitoring of dairy cows. Did that for 10 years. I've had a lifetime of working with dairy cows. Love them to bits. I regard a lot of the cows I've worked with as friends.
Yeah.
As we all do.
We all do. They're family, aren't they?
Yes, yeah. I've managed some herds in my time, done a lot of showing cows in my earlier days, and I'd like to think animal welfare, cow welfare is what I'm all about.
And that's hopefully, as we've seen today, what today is about is making life easier for the farmer to help improve the welfare and therefore sustainability, efficiency of the herd of cows, of his cows moving forward.
Yeah, just the health monitoring and everything that you guys are doing here is so key to welfare of the animal. So it's been brilliant to see. Yeah, I've seen a few of the cows that you bred in during my travels, so it's been good.
Thank you very much.
I can vouch for Mike.
Now, most people know Southwest Dairy Development Centre was originally, a three-way partnership? Was it between Kingshay, Agri-Epic and is it Steamboat, is that correct?
Yes, it was along those lines. That partnership was dissolved. There was a change of direction,
But how long's this site been in existence? Okay,
so this site was first built, the building was first started to be developed in 2015, 2016. There was a herd of cows managed in conjunction between Kingshay and Steamboat.
Yep.
That project was completed at the end of 2021.
Yep.
2022, it was decided that a new project should be formatted.
It seemed daft to have this lovely facilities here doing absolutely nothing.
Exactly. So our then company, which was called Agri-Tech Centre, went in partnership with Steamboat Farms.
Yep.
And the whole building went under refurbishment in 2022 when I came on board. With technology, it turns on its head every 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And
well, there's Moore's law, isn't there, when you talk about computer chips, every 18 months it doubles in power.
Yeah. And with this facility, one of my challenges going forwards is to keep it up to date and relevant.
Yeah.
So hence why, the building was extended in 2022. The building is now 100 metres long. There's cubicles or free stalls for 200 cows. The robots were moved to the far end of the shed to make access to grazing
Where were
preferable.
they before then?
They were where we have the dry cows. Now.
Okay. Never realised. I never visited it prior.
So, from the boardroom, the meeting room here, we can see all the cows, the whole building layout in front of us. It's fantastic office space I've got here to work from. Big distraction for a dairy farmer.
Well, I know when we did the cow signals course, it wasn't there. There was one participant was like, I could move into that boardroom and just live, sleep, eat. I'd be happy as.
Yeah, that's right. It's all about happy places.
So we're all sad individuals. So we've got the dry cows behind us here, laying on water beds. We've got far off dry cows on one side and transition cows the other. And then maternity pens just the other side of the wall. And the cows can see everything through this building. So they're never away from their friends, their mates.
Which is what you want. I mean, as you say, refurbishment. I mean, originally there was green robots in here, wasn't there? There's now red robots.
Yeah, so that was just a management decision. There was nothing wrong with the green robots. Lely Yeovil, which are the red robots, they're only 5 miles away.
Yep.
Very on hand if and when they're required.
And obviously there's other bits and pieces of Lely here as well with the, I forgot what they're called, is it Discoveries?
The Discovery collectors, which are keeping the floors and the passageways clean. They do an awesome job, and I would thoroughly recommend anybody looking to keep passageways clean to look at those.
Do they have names?
No, we don't actually. 1 and 2.
Right.
We probably ought to give them names. I'm not that sad yet.
One of my clients refers to their Discovery as Clive.
Right.
It's Clive. My biggest problem I find on the nutrition side of things is Clive does too good a job.
Yep.
Because let's be honest, one of the telltale signs of what's going on is to look at the cow's manure.
Absolutely.
And Clive, or however you want to describe them, has already been and cleaned up. And you're like, how am I supposed to look when it's already clean?
But the shed outside is so clean and it's really incredible.
Which is great because it wants to be in terms of digital dermatitis or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
But in terms of what I want to do, I'm like, no, stop being too efficient. So Clive and his friends have their role definitely. But so the centre started again, I believe it was late February?
Yeah, so February 2023, Valentine's Day, February the 14th, we spent here...
I remember seeing it on social media at the time, actually.
We had 2 herds of cows put together and arrived the same day within 36 hours. So there was 130, 140 cows arrived within 36 hours.
Were the cows chosen because they were off a robot farm, or were they just herds of cows that were available at the time?
Basically, 2 herds of cows Steamboat Farms purchased. None of them had seen any robots before.
Wow. Right, so completely new.
The staff here had one of the herdsmen had worked with robots previously, the other one hadn't. We all met the week before. Mm-hmm. We started the feed kitchen up after it had been serviced that morning to feed cows.
Oh, wow.
What could possibly go wrong? So it was a steep learning curve for us all. I'd like to think everything went really well. We have done nothing but progress since cows have moved back in here. And the results speak for themselves. One of the herd of cows, they were averaging, where they came from, 7,500 litres a cow on a really good calving index, 366-day calving index. Those cows came here, when I looked at the figures after we'd been here 12 months, those cows were averaging 10,500 litres.
So they've gone up 3,000 litres in a year.
Yeah.
And maintain fertility.
Yeah, fertility.
Fertility, we've got a preg rate of 34% currently.
So they've not dropped. They've not dropped in fertility despite lifting 3,000 litres.
Yeah, and that just shows, they were really well looked after, well managed from where they came from. No disrespect to the people that were, the family that looked after them there. They did a fantastic job. But changing
system,
cow comfort, cow system, slightly different feeding. It just shows you what ability the dairy cow has.
And I guess the flip side of it is, I guess from Neil's point of view, is it shows the genetics are there. I mean,
absolutely.
I guess as we were wandering around, we were talking about it.
Yep.
Production is there. We don't really need to concentrate on breeding for production anymore. It's now the health traits. It's now the secondary things really. We have a longer lived cow, all the better. Mm-hmm. I mean, again, I'm going to quote the cow signals. I've probably done that a lot today, but I know it's extra 2 lactations is a 30% reduction in methane.
Yeah.
So again, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. The oldest cow I think is 9th calver.
Okay,
and
so it wasn't just like, we're only taking 2nd, 3rd calvers, anything like that. It was the whole herd.
No, it was the whole herd. And I must admit, I did question, why are we buying a cow that age?
Yeah.
But she obviously stood the test of time where she was.
Yep.
And she's enhanced her ability coming here.
Yeah. 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 It is interesting. I know recently I've been somewhere else that switched to robots, and the difference it's made on just in a year on the longevity from the system they went to where it is. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying robots is the answer for everyone at all. No. I mean, certainly the thing you always see is how quiet they are. But it just shown that, they always used to talk about, didn't they? Building an extra 1,000 litres or something because improved cow comfort, or you've seen 3,000 litres.
Yeah. The other herd of the cows came from Steamboat Farms themselves. They were already on 3 times a day.
Yep.
But one of those cows has done a 3 or 5 day lactation of over 15,000 litres.
Phenomenal amount.
It is, and where will cows be production-wise in 3 or 4 generations? When we're in the process of genomic testing the herd.
Yep.
And if we can identify which cows we should be breeding from, rather than, dare I say, a random breeding selection.
For sure.
Yeah.
It just takes that ability to go further and further and further.
Yep.
The heifer just coming up behind you, that's doing 50 kilos a day.
Oh, look at that.
How long has she been calved?
She's been calved about 6 weeks, 7 weeks now.
Lovely spring of ribbon strength about it.
But,
great heifer.
It's the first heifer I've ever seen that I've worked with doing that amount of milk. We've got room for 200 cows in the building. Like any dairy farmer, you want to maximise the possibilities.
Absolutely.
So we are trying to breed our own replacements, but that doesn't happen overnight. So, when a group of animals needs to be replaced and topped up, they do buy in replacements. Mm-hmm. And we did have a group of heifers come in 6 weeks ago.
Right.
She was one of them.
Right.
And the quality is pretty good. So there's no actual machinery movements happen inside the building. Scraping up the passageways, they're kept clean by Lely Discovery collectors. We've got 2 of them in the building. To me, they do an awesome job in keeping cows' feet clean, keeping legs clean. There's no slurry wave, bow wave.
So tell us about the roof, Mike, because as I stand here at the moment, it just looks like a giant polytunnel.
Yeah, so the type of building we have here, it's 100 metres long by 30 metres wide, the actual building. you're going to see more of these buildings in Europe than the UK. So from the outside of the building...
Did it come from Europe?
Yes, it's a European building.
Yeah.
Built by Diagro, I think it is. So when you come down the A37, although we're on a ridge here, you can't actually see the building. Yeah. But when you come inside the building, the dark roof miraculously becomes a white roof from the inside, bouncing a lot of natural light into the building. And as you can see now, you'd quite happily read a newspaper.
It's amazingly nice.
So there's no lights on today. It's gloomy and overcast. There's no LED lights on, but you say you've got plenty of daylight.
Yeah,
it's quite bright actually.
Yeah. And when it's a really bright sunlight day, there's no bright spots within the building. So cows quite happily do not. They just wander around, and they're not all piling into one area where there's shade.
Yeah.
What about the walls? They've got
the signs.
So the walls are climate-controlled curtain walls. They're made by Gale Breaker, who we're working closely with on ventilation. And the walls go up and down depending on the prevailing weather. So at the minute, the north wall is completely down, whereas the south wall is 2/3 of the way up, protecting the cows from this strong gale we've got blowing today. But letting movement of air through the top, and you can smell yourself. What are your thoughts on the
you can
quality of the air?
You feel fresh air coming through.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, we're trying some mobile recording equipment today, so we'll see how this goes. Before we started, we thought, this might be a bit bad because of the wind.
Yes.
You come in here, it's relatively calm.
Yes, it is.
But still breezy enough that you get in a flow of air.
Yeah.
But you can definitely say after working in many cow houses, the smell of ammonia is far less than what I've experienced in other places. So it's definitely better. And this is a slat system, so all of the stuff that you would expect.
Yeah.
But it is. And then, of course, the side walls are going to keep the place a little bit more dry.
So, started up here just over a year ago. What is your role, or what is the mission of this site?
Okay, so my role here is to look after the building and all the technology and the projects that go on, not just within the building on the cows, but also in the environment outside as well. A lot of the projects here come via Innovate UK funding.
Yep.
UK Agri-Tech Centre has a whole team where we can take concept of ideas that discussed randomly at a networking session between 2 or 3 different companies.
So for argument's sake, could me and Neil say, hey, we've got this idea, and come to you and go from there, or is there a set way?
There is a set way, because we have business development managers that know when Innovate UK put out a funding call for project titles. And they help write the bid procedure. It's not a foregone conclusion that a company with an idea gets the money to do it. There's a lot of competition to get the funding. If we're fortunate that the bid is highlighted and wins.
And successful.
Successful, that's the word I was looking for. We then have a project management team that take it forward and keep everybody on track, keeps the focus. It's really easy to go off on a tangent down a red herring route, so that our project management team really keep everybody on board, on focus, monitor the costs of a project, make sure that there's no wastage or money spent irresponsibly. And then we're all answerable to Innovate UK. We have project monitoring officers just keeping an eye on every project, saying, that's a really good idea, but you're just going down the wrong way with that.
Right.
Or,
They must be spoil sports to you having fun.
Sometimes. But it's a really good format, and we, UK Agri-Tech Centre. We've also got a data department. So a lot of
centralised, effectively.
So
Because a number of sites across the UK.
Yes, we're not just involved in dairy farming here. There's salmon farming in the Outer Hebrides. There is all the types of crops that are growing in UK agriculture being looked at.
Yep.
We're even involved in vineyards in West Sussex. Technology is there to be used.
Well, you say that again, thinking about it. I know you've been on Radio 4 farming programme, was it a month, 6 weeks or whatever it was ago, and as we record this, so you're obviously used to having a microphone in front of you.
Practically an expert.
Perfect face for radio.
That's what I say. I say we're never putting the videos of these out. This is a face for radio. But again, that was some of the technology you've got involved here, or you oversee, is Sophie Alexander, isn't it?
So that's done at Hemsworth Farms. That was a biodiversity project, which is actually going to start here in the next few weeks. And that is about monitoring birds by recording their song over a huge area. The technology is out there to do it. We've also got a moth trap to be installed as well.
Right.
And also a beehive. Now, that's not going to produce fantastic yields of crops to feed the country. But what it will give us is where we are now with biodiversity.
Yes.
And can we will, by identifying which birds we have in the area, the experts know what
gives
they
us
will...
a baseline, doesn't it?
But they know what they're feeding on, whether they're seed eaters or insect eaters.
True.
So they will then know what food source they have here. It's the same with the moths. Once they've identified what moths we have in this vicinity, they can say what they're feeding on, what their habitat is. And with the bees, they'll be able to test the pollen and find out what they're foraging on.
I've certainly heard it, where was I, at some conference last year, and there was a milk buyer speaking there, and they basically said one of their criteria moving forward will be biodiversity in terms of what's in your hedgerows. And you will be paid according to your biodiversity. So this really is linking in with it. Otherwise, how you think, so how are you going to do this? But then obviously you hear technology like this, it will make it a lot easier and probably more cost-effective way of doing it.
Well, we're doing the hard yards, so the easy yards are able to be done across the whole of UK agriculture. And, being able to say, well, this is where we are now at this moment in time with biodiversity.
Yep.
If we want to increase a certain type of bird species or pollinators, if we have more of their food source, that should encourage those to come forward. And it is about finding out where we are now, where can we go with it?
And this ties back, I suppose, a little bit to that one we did with the podcast with the Environmental Farmers Group, wasn't it?
It certainly does. It's just what I was thinking.
What they're trying to achieve and what they're bringing together. There's a lot of different people within the wider industry are looking at these things to pull together, which I think will help the whole UK industry.
It's about painting that picture to the general public.
Yeah.
It is.
UK agriculture is a good place to be with.
Well, it just reminds me, I've just done some work for FWAG again and looking at phosphate levels in the River Axe. And one of the guys, I knew him before I did the project anyway. I'd done some work with him in the past. And he said, before I started this project, he said, the opinion of me, or my own opinion of myself, was I was Mr. Evil Dairy Farmer because I was throwing all these phosphates and this and that. And we came back to it and he was almost phosphate neutral. He had a really low, he was only just above being neutral on phosphate. And he said, well, actually, I'm not such a bad evil dairy farmer. With just some minor changes, I will be phosphate neutral. So really, he's, the industry at times is portrayed as this big evil group of individuals that don't care about wildlife, but we're all in it, we all live in it, we all work in it. We want to see those deers or those fox or whatever it happens to be.
Bees
and the bees and everything else. And without them, we don't have an industry, but also what people to remember, without us, there is no food. But actually, once you can quantify it, whether it's through that project looking at phosphate levels or this in terms of moths, bees, birds, again, it creates a baseline to say, well, actually, this is what we are and what we are doing and why we're doing it and how then maybe we can improve it if we want. Again, comes back to Environmental Farmers Group, wasn't it? That a group of farmers wanted, was it snakes, wasn't it? I think was the example.
One child wanted the teenager wanted.
Yeah, so they suddenly did snakes. But, that there was that goal, that was that aim, and that's what they did. And all this stuff is just great because of what it's going to bring to the wider industry.
Yeah. The question was to this sort of like group, they were all talking about what wildlife they'd want to come back, and the 14-year-old was listening. He said, "I'd like snakes." Wasn't necessarily everybody that agreed on that. But just back to that funding, having sort of like worked with it before, the easiest way for somebody that wants to do funding is actually to work through you guys and let you help us, like for instance, fill out the form.
Yes, and that's it. There is a style in to being able to fill in forms.
It is quite complicated.
And we have a business development team that are really good at doing this and hopefully securing those positive bids.
It's just so much easier, and the service is there, and you guys are good at it. It's your department. You know what you're doing. It's I recommend it very highly if you want to go for that innovative UK. And you're looking for funding. Well, come through this company.
Well, you say that. I mean, you are UK Agri-Tech Centre, but that's only as we record this, that's only a fairly recent development.
Yes. So there were 3 UK Agri-Tech Centres set up originally in around about 2014-15 by Innovate UK. There was ourselves, Agri-Epi Centre. Then there is another group called CHAPS, which is more crop-based. And then there is CL, which are more livestock-based.
And they're sort of University of Nottingham, aren't they, if I remember?
They're involved with the University of Nottingham.
Because I'm aware of somebody that did a project there a couple of years ago.
Yeah, so, 3 great companies looking at improvements and how we can help UK agriculture develop, become more efficient. We've now all been amalgamated under one umbrella. So that makes us more as an efficient organisation, and we're not all fighting for the same pot of money. We're now just one group of people, hopefully taking or feeding from the same pot of money.
You've been down here 15 months nearly. What in that 15 months can you tell us? Or, can you talk us through some of the projects? Hopefully we'll be able to cut in some of the bits that we've seen as we walked around this morning. Not too windy. We'll find out when I listen back to it later. But what can you tell us about what you're doing? What's some of the outcomes in that 15 months? I know when we first spoke about it, you said, just wait, because then we'll have a year's worth of data. So you've got a year's worth of data now, Mike. What can you tell us?
Yes, right. So we have a year's worth of data.
Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot here, aren't I?
Yes, okay. So the cows have now settled. We couldn't just start randomly recording data from day one to be used. We had to get some baselines in place, which we now have that in place. The cows are settled. We all know how the building works. I myself communicate to Steenbo Farms on what projects are coming, what the outcomes will be, how will that affect the herd.
Do they ever have actually, we'd like to go this way, or actually, no, we don't want to do that, or do they have some degree of, what's the word I'm looking for, veto?
There are always projects that come in front of me that I'm thinking, hang on a minute, this doesn't stack up. This is not quite right. This is not right to bring this to the Southwest Dairy Development Centre.
So you're acting as a filter to start with.
Filter, and then, we discuss what projects we have available, if this is the right thing to bring to this herd. Will that affect the herd? The cows are owned and managed by Steenbo Farms. This is a commercial herd. It has to make money.
Right.
It's commercially owned.
We can't do something that's going to be detrimental to that herd, whether it's from an animal health point of view, from a profitability point of view. So, there are some projects that we're not going to bring here.
Yep.
They will go elsewhere. And it is about, working as a team to look at the outcomes. The hoof count project, that's just focusing on digital dermatitis, early detection of that using, video cameras. Okay, so the project we've got currently going on, we've got a really interesting project led by Hoof Count, looking at digital dermatitis very early detection using video images.
Okay.
So that's funded by Innovate UK, and we'll walk down and have a look.
Funnily enough, I was at a presentation yesterday, or discussion club I'm secretary for, and we had a local foot trimmer gave a presentation he was talking about. So it's obviously getting some interest out.
Yes. We've Hoof Count are a really good company to work with, and UK Agri-Tech Centre, we project manage that project, any project that comes here.
Yep.
So we have our own project management, business development, data crunching teams.
Yep.
That project, University West of England Imaging Department were brought into it, because it's who would want to put a camera on the end of a footbath where you're not only dealing with damp conditions, but corrosive conditions with formaldehyde.
That's right.
And shit as well.
Yeah, and cows jumping up and down.
I mean, that's a hoof count. Most people listening this probably know, but not everybody produce an automatic foot bath, don't they? For washing and adding a hardening chemical to the foot bath as the cow walks through, helps clean and helps harden the hooves. They've had one on the market for a number of years that after so many cows flushes itself out, automatically charges itself, ready for the next bunch of cows. But this is obviously taking that next step on again.
It's taking it on, and this is where people thinking outside the box, thinking they see something that's not in the agricultural industry, taken from another industry, and put it in an agricultural setting.
Yep.
And hopefully the ideas work. Not every idea or innovation will work.
No.
Because if everything was successful, there's no point in us being here.
You have a job.
And it is about, okay, let's try the theory. It looks good on paper. Let's see what happens. Yeah. Camera technology has become so much cheaper and so much better in recent years.
So we're now coming down towards the 3 robots that are here, and we're now next to the footpath.
Right.
I can see it from here. Yes.
So as you can see, that little square there is the camera.
Right underneath it.
Yeah. So as we've just come down to the footpath, there's 2 light bars.
Yeah. See that?
Now, that wasn't there originally.
Right.
Because when the cows were coming through, it's taking an 8-second video image. Sometimes that's taken at night.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's when there's bright light. On other farms, there are different challenges with light. How many races have you come across, Neil, that are just in dark, dingy places?
Absolutely.
Or it's a long, narrow passageway with a bright light, daylight, the far end.
Yeah.
The camera can't focus then.
No.
So that's why University West of England, they sourced the right sort of camera to put in that environment.
Yep.
They decided on what sort of light bars. Originally, does a halogen light just above work? A strip light?
Yeah.
Just creates shadow. So you have to put diffused light
Right.
at the level of the
The
feet.
feet. Yeah.
And
Which
it
is
works
what this
really
is.
well. So the cows come through and put that on their own accord.
So everyone, once they milk, then comes around through
If
here?
every cow comes through once a day.
Right.
So we're just watching cows coming out of the robot at the minute, and 668 here, she's obviously been through once early this morning.
So is it what, any time it resets, what, midnight every?
Yeah, so well, the cows come through the footbath between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m.
Right.
So we like to have someone on site
Yeah.
just to prevent any problem.
Any problem?
You know, cows are cows.
Yeah.
If they can do something wrong,
They're going to try everything.
yeah.
So she's been through, but another one might instead of come here, get diverted to then
Yeah,
come
so
round
that
the
they
footpath.
don't know if to come through the back of the robot, out through the footbath. So when she comes through the footbath, she triggers a beam. EID is read automatically, so that's stamped onto the video image, so we know what cow it is.
Yep.
Cow comes through. An 8-second video is then taken.
That's all 4 feet, isn't it?
And it's all 4 feet. There's no point capturing just 1 foot. Cow has 4 feet that we need to look at.
Sure.
So what happened then was all those videos go into artificial intelligence, machine learning.
Yeah.
So the algorithm had to be taught to, this is a cow's foot, this is a cow's front left foot, front right foot, back left, back right.
Yep.
Where do you think the cow's foot would need to be to get the best image? So is it flat on the ground? Is it half flexed or fully flexed? So all those things had to be looked at.
Yeah.
So, and it was the fully flexed hoof.
Fully flexed, right.
Yeah, as it comes out.
Yeah.
And we need to capture that image on all 4 feet.
Yeah.
So when that is done, the artificial intelligence has sorted out, yes, this is a foot.
Yeah.
We're then looking for digital dermatitis lesions.
So the aim is to, here's the one cow wants to come
Yeah.
through as we speak.
Let's stand back.
So the aim is for detection of digital dermatitis.
Yeah, the whole project is about digital dermatitis, early detection,
Yeah.
hopefully reducing antibiotic use, keeping feet healthy.
We'll stand back and let her come through. So as we got there, cows just coming through the footbath as you'd expect. And now she's there, the lights have come on, she's walked through.
And we can now look at that image. And the image that we're getting is cleaner than if you went and put that cow in a crush and picked that foot up. Because she's come through a footbath, all the shit has been washed off.
Yep. Yeah.
We're getting that clear, focused image.
Right. Yeah.
And it's about then identifying any hoofs that have a little lesion on.
Yeah.
Now, so you've got M1, M2, M3 and M4, and I think there's a couple of other M lesion sizes. And we can all see the really big lesions, but the whole project is about capturing that really early lesion.
So how long has the project been running for?
This has been running since end of last year.
Yep.
This is the second footbath that was installed. The first one was on a herd of cows up in Lancashire near Hoof Count's headquarters.
Yep.
There's 4 herds with it on, and it is about getting that the truth testing of everything.
Yes.
iMobility score this herd. I'm ROMS accredited every fortnight now, which, you know,
Fair bit of work.
it's over the top,
Yep.
but we have to do those things to truth test
Right.
what the artificial
system,
intelligence is saying.
Yeah.
And hopefully consistency, because we're all 3 of us are ROMS accredited,
Yep.
if I remember right. And we could quite easily score a cow differently.
Yes.
We shouldn't,
Yeah.
but it can
Shouldn't be
happen.
massively different.
It shouldn't be massively
No.
different, but I might say, well, I think she's a 2.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
you say, well,
Yes.
maybe she's not. And is it I'm being hyper sensitive? These things happen. It's hopefully trying
Yeah.
to make consistency, isn't it?
And a lot of cows with digital dermatitis don't show lameness.
No.
But if we can capture that really early one and treat it very simply, the terramycin spray works wonders.
Yeah.
The job's done.
But the effectivity of your foot bath is going to come into account as well, because you can actually start picking that up quite quickly.
Yeah.
If things are going wrong, the effectivity is then lower. So it's definitely a management tool that would be beyond.
Since you've had it in, have you noticed any differences? Have you made any management targeted
We're
implementation?
too early to say that because it is still, the algorithms are still under development.
Yeah.
You know, it's not an easy thing
No.
to, hey, hang on, this is a cow's foot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
trying to find a lesion
Yeah. Yeah.
and a challenging environment.
Yeah.
And there is Rachel from Hoof Count has sat through something like 20,000 images,
Hope they're paying well.
identifying, you know, what she's actually seeing.
Yeah.
Majority of the time, there's nothing wrong with those feet.
Yeah.
But it's then identifying, okay, this is an M1,
Yeah.
an M2 lesion, an M3 lesion, and having enough of the various types of different size lesions.
Yeah.
But you haven't got to the stage where like, she's got an M1, right, pick her up a sprayer.
Well, what happened, the project will go to having the image sent to your phone,
Yeah.
and it's there in colour.
Yeah.
This cow needs treatment.
Yeah.
On
Wow.
just
Yeah,
on
on just
digital
exact-
dermatitis.
Yeah. Exact foot and exact everything.
Yeah.
And
Does
yeah.
it affect anything else or just digital dermatitis?
At the minute, it's just the whole project is focused on digital dermatitis. Dr. Nick Bell is a veterinary advisor on this project.
Yep.
Hi, girl. And he gets really excited about what he's seeing. You know, he's world-leading expert,
Yeah.
and he will see other things that the project can look at
I was
in
going to say,
future.
it could potentially pick up white line or something like that. If you can see it on the foot, potentially.
If basically, if you can see it, the camera never lies.
No, absolutely.
So, how much extra does it cost?
I don't know the cost of that yet.
Yep.
They're going to. There's a media launch with it later on this month or early May. It had a soft launch at DairyTech,
Yeah.
which created a lot of interest for Hoof Count.
I can believe it.
Good place to do it. Yeah.
So that project is ongoing.
Yeah.
The adventure continues, and if what I'm seeing comes to fruition, it will change how cows are recognised to need treatment, because it's there in a colour image on your phone, and we're going to see more of that technology.
Yes,
in
we are.
other areas.
Absolutely,
going
we are.
forward.
Just one other question, because obviously from a genetics point of view,
Yeah.
all of this would end up in our database of this kind of information and improve, because we obviously have digi and sort of hoof health kind of traits that are already been used, but that'll actually push up the reliability of that tremendously. So if you're doing genomic testing on it, well, it's going to be fascinating to see how those correlations work out.
Exactly.
And
If we can find a particular marker that says you've got resistance to digi, and it shows because on cameras like this, there's less instances.
and we already have the traits digi in the UK that we actually use. So, but it will just give it much better reliability.
Yeah, so we are in the process of genomic testing all the females we've got here that are due to drop a replacement heifer calf,
Yeah.
and also the calf on the ground is genomic tested.
Right.
And, you know, being able to identify health traits, which I think is probably the way to go with genomics, rather than sheer production.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you keep
there.
that's it. You know, if you can keep the cow healthy and not have to treat for mastitis, not
or
have to
digi.
treat for lameness, which will lower your production.
Exactly. Oh,
You're suddenly
absolutely.
another thousand litres of production in the tank, and it's in the tank.
Yeah.
It makes us money.
It is.
It's a comment I heard last night that Sol Olsen knocks 2 years off the life of the cow.
Right, 2 years old.
Which I haven't heard quoted before.
Yeah.
But if you can eliminate that by getting some of the other things right, makes a huge difference.
But like we're saying, is that everything from a feed point of view, if we can pick up feed problems as early as possible, the amount of money you're saving is spectacular. AHDB have got figures on how much lameness actually costs, and it is huge.
Well,
so if you can knock that on the head early.
Well, it's like we did the dry to fresh cow sickness course here, which Mike requested, and 80% of all disease starts in that transition period.
Yeah.
So if you can minimalise that.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes a huge
Yeah.
difference.
No, it certainly does. Yeah.
Huge difference. those 3 weeks before and 3 weeks post calving. Yeah.
We need a herd of cows to do that. It's not going to harm the herd at all going through a footbath. No. They go through a footbath regularly anyway.
Exactly. Commercially, most people will be doing that 2-3 times a week or regularly anyway. So it's not affecting the cow's routine. It's just you're gathering more information from that routine.
Yeah. So we're recording not only video footage of the cow's hoofs as they come through, that then goes into the actual artificial intelligence machine learning for that project. But when we've treated any cow or picked up any cow's feet, we take a photograph of that cow's foot and match it up to the other data we've got. Yep. So, we are a large live data gathering platform.
Yeah. That's what I was just thinking.
And it is about, we've got data coming out of our ears.
And now for the really boring bit, I'm afraid, the legal disclaimer. The information provided during this podcast is being prepared for general information purposes only and does not constitute advice. The information must not be relied upon for any purpose and no representation or warranty is given to its accuracy, completeness or otherwise. Any reference to other organisations, businesses or products during this podcast are not endorsements or recommendations of Chewing the Cud Limited. The views of Andrew Jones are personal and may not be the views of Chewing the Cud Limited, and the views of Neil Greggor are personal and may not be the views of Viking Genetics and Ellie affiliated companies. For more information on the podcast, articles and details of services offered by Chewing the Cud Limited, visit www.chewinthecud.com. Thank you and goodbye.